Tonight on the HPT, we're at the Daytona Beach Racing and Kart Club in Daytona Beach, Florida, where a field of 414 entrants generated a prize pool of more than $400,000. Going out in ninth place and making his third appearance at an HPT final table was past HPT champion Roger Campbell. Facing an all-in re-race from Ossama and his Pocket Kings, Roger and his Pocket Nines made the call. The flop, Jack 10, 5, 2 spades. Ossama is still in the lead. The turn card was the 8 of clubs. Now Roger needs to see any 7, queen, or 9, or he will be eliminated. And that river card, it was the 10 of clubs. Ossama's kings hold, and Roger's quest for his second HPT title was ended, but not for nothing. He goes home with just under $9,000. Tonight's 8th place finisher was Port Orange, Florida native Barry Gallagher. Running low on chips and in early position, Barry shoved all in with his ace-4 and was called by the ace-jack of Tony. The flop was 7-6 deuce, 2 diamonds, and no help for Barry. The turn card, the 10 of spades. Now Barry needs to see one of the remaining 4s in the deck on the river, or he will be eliminated. And that river card was the 9 of clubs. Tony's ace-jack held, and Barry was sent packing as our 8th place finisher, taking with him just over $10,000. And finally, our 7th place finisher was Mokina, Illinois native Dan Bekovec. Under the gun and low on chips, Dan shoved all in with his suited 10-9 and was called by the pocket 7s of Hindi. The flop, ace, trade, deuce, 2 hearts, and no help for Dan. The turn card was the 4 of clubs. Now any 10, 9, or 5 on the river will keep Dan in this tournament. And that river card was the 8 of spades. Hindi's 7s held and eliminated Dan in 7th place. He goes home with just under $13,000. All right, folks, we have 6 players remaining and almost $250,000 to award, and it all starts right now.
How you doing, everybody? Welcome to the HPT. I'm James Larson alongside poker professional and coach Mr. Kenneth James. And Kenneth, this week we're in a city that's based around things that go fast. We're just a mile and a half away from the Daytona International Motor Speedway here at the Daytona Racing and Kart Club.
If you have a need for speed, as does Hindi Kumatetsky. Boy, she's our chip leader tonight, man. She's got everybody dwarfed. She has more chips than the rest of the final table combined. But it's a lot of HPT veterans out there tonight. Corey Zito, he finished 4th just a few weeks ago in Black Hawk, Colorado. We also have Ossama Estafanous. He seems to be on every final table we do. And we can't count out the 23-year-old young poker pro Daniel Silva. He's going to have something to say in who takes home this championship.
We started with 414 entries, and now we are down to our final 6. So let's go ahead and meet the final table and take a peek at the cash.
Up top, over 91,000 cheeseburgers on down to 6th place, 15,326.
Let's go ahead and take a look at the chip count. We talked about it in the open of the show. Hindi with almost 8 million in chips. That's about 62% of the chips in play. But here on the HPT, as always, it's anybody's game. And Kenna, I'm just happy to be back here in the Florida area. Our good friend Dominic Nero brings us in. It's his 21st HPT event, going back to his days as a poker manager in Chicago. It's just fun to be down here. And Dom, thanks for having us back.
Absolutely. Corey, you just saw there, he's nursing a short stack, as is Ossama. Both of those guys on fumes need to catch lightning in the bottle to stay in this tournament, both under 7 big blinds, respectively. Here now, Daniel Silva, the young gun, he's on the button. Let's see what he does.
He's from St. Augustine, Florida, just 23 years old. I mean, imagine that, being a young gun like this, playing for almost $92,000.
Now, this is unconventional. He just open limps on the button with King Jack of Hearts. I'm sure Hindi, our chip leader, has something to do with that passive play. But she, a little fumble there, but ends up, I think, just wanting to check her option. So we'll go to the flop 3 ways, James.
All right, 3 players. We're figuring out the kinks of the system right now. It's the first hand of the night, and we're glad you're with us right here on the HPT. As we go to the flop, comes out Queen 10-7, and I would say a pretty good flop for Ossama.
I just said he's got to catch lightning in the bottle being on this short stack, and he does. He flops top 2. Action over to Hindi. It looks like she's showing some interest in kind of maneuvering that chip lead and leveraging her opponents here, taking a stab at it.
And then Daniel, you see, he flopped the open-ended straight draw, just $125,000 for him to make this call.
Yeah, he's not going to go anywhere. It's just a question whether he's going to semi-bluff and make a raise or take the more conservative, straightforward. He calls. Look at this. Ossama is so excited. He can't wait to get his chips into the pot.
That'll get Hindi out of the way, and it looks like Daniel is going to make this call. It's $265,000 more chips for him in the middle, and they're going to flip over the cards. And Ossama's going to say, all right, he's going to see that he's ahead, but he's going to have to dodge some cards here on both streets.
Yeah, but, he's still a 2-1 favorite. But, it's never enough for Ossama. You've seen him. If you watch the HPT, he's just always seems to be on our final table, but he's up out of his chair. He's sweating it. He's got 2 cards to sweat. To the turn we go.
All right, it's the 7 of diamonds, and we're going to see if Ossama can keep this heater going. He just finished 3rd in our Chicagoland event, and now trying to stay alive in this one, but that's not going to do it. The ace of hearts on the river. Ossama has been eliminated, $15,326. But good news for Ossama, he's still in the hunt for our Player of the Year. And I guarantee you're going to see him back here at another HPT final table. We'll be right back after these words. And welcome back to the HPT. James Larson alongside Kenneth James. It's the James Gang, and leading the pack here is Hindi. But you know what? There are 5 players at this final table, 4 plus Hindi. And hey, she may have the chip lead, but Daniel's got pocket deuces.
Yeah, and on the other end of the spectrum, Corey Zito, he's going to have to make something happen. He's on fumes. He's only got 3 big blinds.
All right, we'll see how the baby pair is bet here by Daniel. Pocket deuces just
it's so funny you say baby pair. I look at his face. To me, he looks like a baby face. 23. Man, I didn't even start playing poker until I was 36.
Raises it to $160,000.
160 is the raise.
Oh, and there's Corey. Now he can't find a napkin in a restaurant. This poor guy.
Boy, look at his. If you get to see his chip stack again, look at it. Just very few.
We
chips
call it
left.
the nub.
All right, now Chris, next to act here in the big blind, seat number 7. He's reaching for chips.
Looking down from our HPT blimp, as I like to say, at those faded spade cards. Love them, James.
Yeah, they look good. Want to thank Tom Wheaton for his support of the HPT, and check out Faded Spade cards at fadedspade.com. Queen Jack going up against pocket deuces, and the flop comes out Ace Queen 5. Good flop there for Tony. He goes ahead, but keep in mind, Daniel was the pre-flop better, so Tony can be thinking, did he have an ace? Is that why he raised?
Exactly, and that's why he checks it. Now, looks like Daniel absolutely is going to leverage his position, go ahead and make a bet, forces an opponent to a decision. I like this. I expect Tony to defend his equity with a call, and he does.
135,000 chips by Daniel and a call by Tony. And we go to the turn card is the tray of clubs.
Yeah, this is interesting because this now gives Daniel the gutter. Of course, he has the other duck for trips. Will he continue his story as he's checked to, or will he take the free card? This is always a dilemma of the poker player, whether to take the free card or go ahead and continue with your aggressive line.
So action here on Daniel Silva, St. Augustine, Florida.
Not much action. He moves very deliberately, very contained, not wanting to give anything away.
So he elects to get that free card, and we go to the river. It's not the free card he wanted. It's the Jack of Diamonds. So Tony's hand gets better now. 2 pair. Queens and Jacks. He's got the check mark. He cannot lose unless he folds his hand.
Now, what do you do here, James? Do you go for value, or do you try and check it and try and get extra value by allowing your opponent to bluff?
Well, you're the poker coach. I myself, I would check. I would check here and let your opponent.
I agree with you. That's really good because your opponent did bet the turn, so it doesn't look like he's got an ace, right? So you have to be aware on level 2, what does my opponent have, and maybe give him a chance to bluff there. But still, he takes home a nice pot.
And, we always talk about, you and I, watching poker. I think you can get so much better watching these episodes or any poker tour for that. But until you're in that seat with the bright lights on you and your pulse, you're popping out of your neck, I think that's the only way to properly get better and to learn more is to just more repetition. You got to be in the box, and you got to play. So these players out here, they played. They've been playing all weekend long, and it culminates tonight with our champion going home with $91,557. Hindi has been the story all weekend. Look at all these chips. So what is your advice to her now with 5 players remaining to take this thing down?
To keep doing what you're doing because it's working. And as you can see here, blinds now 40 and 80,000 with a 40,000 big blind ante. She's continuing her pressure, leveraging her advantage. She also helps that she has a hand here, raising with ace-10. Now, Corey, he needs to make something happen. As we said, he's just got a couple of big blinds left. And it looked like he was peeking down at an ace. I can't really see. I have an obstructed view here, but he does go with it. Let's see what he does have. He does. He has ace-5.
He's got ace-5. And Corey Zito, he's on fire, too. He finished 4th in Blackhawk just a few weeks ago, and now he is back at yet another HPT final table, but on fumes right now, but hoping to double up and get back in this thing. So Chris folds over to Daniel now in the big blind.
Now, this is a spot where Daniel could call to try and go 2 against 1 versus the all-in player in which to move himself up the pay ladder, but he elects not to take it.
All right, Corey Zito, good luck all in.
Yeah, that's what they say. Hindy's got him dominated, though.
All right, we'll see if the ace-10 of Hindi will hold up. Corey's going to need some help, or he will be eliminated going out in 5th place. He's going to stand up to watch it.
Yeah,
pushes in his chair.
He's going to look for some nickels. This is a common thing today. I really don't like is it almost feels like the player's giving up, but they do it as a sense to try and get lucky and pull off the cards they need. To the flop we go.
And the flop is 9-6 deuce, a couple of spades, so not a whole lot of help there for either player. Hindi maintains her lead.
To the turn, looking for a 5, not there. Now, though, that brings in some straight possibilities. A 4 would make him a straight. A 5 would give him the best hand, but it can't be a spade. Hindy's got all those locked up. To the river we go.
And that river card is the 7 of spades. So the ace-high flush is good for Hindi, and the heater is over at least this week for Corey Zito. But he's going to go home with a nice little payday of $19,705. And we'll be back with more action right after this. Welcome back to the HPT. 4 players remain here at the Daytona Beach Racing and Card Club. Our 10th event at this beautiful Daytona property. Want to thank the entire crew here, Don Miro, the poker room manager, all of his dealers and staff. Always great to be here. This place opened back in 2008, and it has been a hotbed, Kenna, for poker for the last 10, 11 years.
It really has, and it just keeps growing and growing. Looking at Daniel Silva now in the small blind. Looks like he is going to limp over to Hindi. Now, I like her putting in a raise here just to, put pressure on the opponent that's out of position. You like to inflate pots in position, forcing your opponents to play out of position in inflated pots, but she elects to check it and take the free flop.
Flop is all diamonds, Jack 9-6. Daniel, you see, holding the 7 of diamonds.
He's also got the gutter ball straight, so that's enough for him to semi-bluff and lead out. But how about this? Hindi not going away. She's protecting bottom pair on this board.
Turn card is the tray of spades.
That's really reaching on Hindi's part. I don't mind maybe one call on the flop, right, in defending equity against naked flush draws, but I think she should go away here.
And the bet by Daniel is $250,000. You see that she is in the lead with her 6s.
Yeah, this is a nice pressure bet since it's interesting. Hindi didn't take the lead pre-flop, and now she's defending a little bit too wide. She could get in trouble here, and she does get away from it. Good job.
She's going to fold. Now, she is a behavioral analyst. Now, I'm going to need you to break that down for me. What exactly Do you have any idea what a behavioral analyst does?
It's somebody who analyzes behavior.
Well, there you
which
go.
is perfect for poker because that's what we do
Absolutely.
is observe people's behavior. Then we make assessments on what they're actually doing, what their intentions are. So it's no shock that she's doing well here tonight as she looks down at pocket tens.
Obviously here reaching for some raising chips, and she's going to do just that. Raises it up to 180,000 with her pocket pair. Now action over to Tony on the button. He's going to release his hand. To the blinds we go. Starting with Chris, and we haven't heard much out of Chris yet tonight.
No, he's on a short stack now, so he really needs to make something happen. Looks like he's going to speculate here and try to set mine with his pocket eights.
We're going to be heads up.
So both players here heads up with pairs, tens going up against eights. Hindi and Chris as we go to the flop. And then it comes out queen, 7-6, couple of hearts and a diamond.
This could be trouble for Chris because with only one overcard, but he, wow, check, check.
And now we go to the turn card. It's another heart, this time the king of hearts.
Checks over to Hindi.
Now, Hindi really playing quickly and passively in position.
Queen of clubs.
Queen of clubs comes on the river, so Hindi's got the best of it here. Tens and queens. Chris is first to act. Hindi in position.
Do you see that little move that Chris made there to go reach for his chips and then check? Once again, that's a physical tell of weakness. They try to make it look strong to keep your opponent from betting so they can see the free card, and that's exactly what happened.
All right, folks, we are at the Daytona Beach Racing and Card Club. I'm James Larson alongside Kenneth James. What I like about this place, we're right next to the airport, less than 5 miles from beautiful sandy beaches, tons of shops, bars, and, of course, the pickleball courts, which, by the way, you still owe me $50 from yesterday's pickleball game.
I'm going to give you a pickle. That's what I'm going to give you.
Hindi's going to fold over to Tony.
More than you deserve.
Ace-5 for Tony.
Suited. Grabbing some of those red chips. Just to remind everybody at home, the tan are $5K, the blue $25K, the high society, those red ones, worth $50K apiece.
And now action over to the young gun, 23-year-old Daniel Silva. Looks down at ace-9, and he takes his time before every decision. It's almost the exact amount of time, at least it feels like. And we'll talk more about that in our coaching session with Kenna. But now it's a re-raise all in.
Putting it right back on Tony. This is shrewd awareness of knowing where the value of your hand is versus your opponent's raising range, and he's right on the money.
Tony Armand from Port Orange, Florida. $900 invested in this. Nice little ROI for him. You see fourth place money, just over $26,000. But up top, $91,557. And you get to be called our newest, latest, and greatest HPT champ.
Now, it looks like Tony has a decision here. I think this is a hand that he can get away from. You know, you like to have an ace, but when you're faced with a 3-bet, there's very few hands that you're going to be in front of, and he's going to see the bad news as the cards are flipped on the back there. He's going to be only about 30% equity as we go to this flop.
All right, well, Tony, as you see, is all in. His tournament life at risk here at the Daytona Beach Racing and Card Club. Daniel with his ace-9 going up against the suited ace-5 of Tony, and the flop, 10-4 Trey.
Well, Tony gets a little bit more hope here on this flop. A 2 will make him the wheel, or a 5.
To the turn card we go. It's the 7 of diamonds.
Getting a little better as we go along. Now a 6 would make him a straight. So a 2, a 5, or a 6. Otherwise, he will be eliminated in fourth place.
To the river card we go, and it's the 9 of spades. So Daniel's going to win the hand, and that is going to do it for Tony Armand. He's sent packing, but before he goes home, not a bad little payday. Fourth place money, just over $26,000, and we'll be back right after this commercial break. Here on the HPT, we crisscross all over the United States of America. This week, we find ourselves surrounded by palm trees here at the Daytona Beach Racing and Card Club. I'm James Larson alongside Kenna James. And Kenna, just 3 players remain. Somebody's going to go home a very happy person tonight.
Over to Daniel.
Yeah, Chris getting it all in here now. Three-handed, takes a stand with King 5. Daniel quickly makes a call with King Jack. But no matter how this comes out, Chris has got to be happy. He's laddered up thanks to, the stand that Tony Armand decided to do with his Ace-5. So he's definitely jumped up the pay ladder regardless of the outcome of this hand. But hey, he could get lucky like anybody else and stay in this tournament. Looks like Hindi was, cheering him on there. Good luck, Chris. Hey, what about me? Daniel says.
So Daniel in the lead here with his King Jack going up against King 5. To the flop we go. It's a Jack and 2 9s. So Daniel's hand improves, and now he's a very big favorite to take on this
1%
hand.
for Chris. Oh, my goodness.
Turn card is the 5
look
of
at
diamonds.
this.
So you're saying I have a chance?
There's a chance now. Another 5. He could just put it in the corner pocket. He went from 1% to 5%. Did you see him just leap up there?
All right, well, we go to the final card here. It's the River. Chris hoping to improve, and it's the Tray of Hearts, so that's going to do it. Third place money, though, $37,619.
It's time for Heads Up Action, your favorite part of the show, mine too, because the action is nonstop. You're forced to play almost every hand. Very important strategy note to these players, though, is you want to stay aggressive, but make sure it's calculated aggression, not blind aggression, just throwing chips out. You really got to have empathy and feel. And, I kind of like Hindi in this because she is the behavioral analyst. She should read his tells, read him well, and take home this championship.
We started with 414, and now we are down to our final 2. Heads Up Poker starts right now.
And looking down now at what these two players are playing for, a lot of cash on the line, the watch, the title. Action is going to be on Hindi. She looks down at 10-9, going to get things going. From the button in Heads Up play, the button acts first pre-flop, and post-flop acts second.
You mentioned the cash, the watch. This is when everything gets kind of real, okay? It's like, no, wait a minute. We started with 414, and I'm one of the last 2 players remaining?
You can feel it. It starts to tingle. Daniel defending with the 9-7, so she's got him dominated here as we go to this flop.
All right, flop comes out Ace, 8-6.
Now, very interesting because Daniel's flopped an open-ended straight.
And look at that. The 7 of diamonds comes, so Hindi hits
goodness.
her straight there.
She hits the gutter ball straight. Now, this makes Daniel third pair to the board and open-ended, so I expect her to get some value here. She pulls off some of those blue 25K chips, makes it 125K.
125,000 is the bet. Daniel's going to make the call.
Nice control here by the youngster, not choosing to semi-bluff here. Ooh, this is going to be interesting because he makes 2 pair.
And he's going to check. Yeah, check his 2 pair here. Hindi's made the straight. She's got the check mark.
Going to go for some value here. How much? Maybe 300,000? 500. Ooh, she's dipping big. I can't see Daniel paying this off with 4 to a straight on board. I think he's going to get away from this. I think the bet is just a little bit too big. But she knows her customer. She is the behavioral analyst. She gets max value from her straight. Perhaps the hearts out there, he thought, maybe she had a missed flush draw and he was going to pay her off.
All right, Hindi is stacking her chips, and the action continues. Blinds are 50,000, 100,000 with a 50K big blind ante. Heads up here as we continue action from the Daytona Beach Racing and Card Club.
Daniel Silva looking down, grabbing some of those 50K red chips. Makes it 200,000.
Action over to Hindi, who's been leading this tournament this day from the start, trying to finish it off here and become our newest HPT champion. She's going to re-raise to 475,000.
Now, I like this. I like her taking the aggressive stand, taking the lead in the betting. And Daniel makes the call. So a 3-bet pot, 2 ways. Rich, $1 million in the middle that these players are going to be vying for as we go to the flop.
And the flop is 9-6 deuce, couple of diamonds.
Interesting now. Daniel flopping top pair, but Hindi 2 overcards and the flush draw. Going to continue with her lead, it looks like. Pushes it out.
Hindy's going to bet.
Hindy's going to bet 250,000 chips.
I love this. Nice weak bet, controlling pot size. Now, Daniel, does he interpret this bet as weakness and go for a raise, or does he just flat? I prefer just flatting, but he goes for the raise to 750,000. Action back on Hindi.
So now a decision for Hindi with just king high, but with the diamond draw, and she says, I am all in.
You want to go to the races, buddy? Let's do it. Oh, look at that's the most animation we have seen out of Daniel.
So what is Daniel thinking right here? Obviously playing this hand back in his mind, but
he's thinking he's beat, and he finds the muck. It's as simple as that, James.
wow. Hindi raises her coffee cup and says, yes, I'll take those chips. And we'll be back with more exciting final table action right after this.
Just call.
Welcome back to the HPT as we broadcast from the Daytona Beach Racing and Card Club. And looking at the chip counts there,
wow,
a little uneven, wouldn't you say,
a little
James?
disparity between these two chip stacks. She's got them almost 5-1 in chips. Looking to finish this young kid off is Hindi. And she goes ahead and raises. She's got the cards to do it. She's not bluffing here. Makes it $225K to go.
Any advice? You got a 10-2 chip lead. Any advice, if you could pull Hindi aside, what would you tell her as a poker coach?
Keep up the pressure, especially in position, just like she's doing now. When something's working, keep doing what you're doing.
But I like what you said about keeping your foot on the gasoline. I think that's so important. Look at this flop, a king and 2 sevens. Daniel likes everything about that flop, and he's going to check to Hindi.
I like Hindi's bet here in position. But when you get called or raised, that's the signal that, hey, I probably don't have the best hand. And so Daniel, who raises to 300,000, I'm a little surprised that she's calling off here. If you want to call off if there's some kind of draw out there, okay. But it's a pretty dry board, in my opinion.
Turn card is the 6 of clubs. So you see Daniel can't lose the hand unless he folds, and he's going to bet 400,000.
And and this is what I'm saying, James. Sorry to interrupt you, but it's like, what are you going to do on the turn after you call the check raise on the flop, right? It's going to be pretty tough to continue, but somehow Hindi finding her way here.
River card, a meaningless tray of clubs. Daniel with 3 of a kind. A pot of almost 2 million chips now.
This is ballooned out of control.
He's going to go all in now.
Well, that should do it. A head scratcher? I don't think so. You just find the muck, Hindi. I'm not sure what she's thinking here, what he could be possibly bluffing with that she could beat.
I call.
Wow.
Really?
She made the call.
Oh, my.
Wow.
Sometimes you just get a read on a player and you think you're getting bullied. Perhaps Hindi fell victim to the consideration she's getting bluffed and pushed around by this young gun, Daniel Silva. But suddenly the wheels have come off there.
Wow. Just like that. We started with 10-2, Hindi on top, and now my basic rough math goes from 4 to 6, and Daniel right back in this thing.
Absolutely.
And now I'm going to ask for your advice again, Mr. Poker Coach. We just made a pretty big error for Team Hindi. How do you
right the ship?
Yeah.
Well, yeah, you got, when you're leaking, you got to put a plug in it. And in poker, that means, taking a little more conservative approach and taking your foot off the gas.
So the raise was to 240,000, and now a re-raise to 525 by Hindi.
This is not putting a plug in it. This is putting both feet on the gas, re-raising with King 3, Crablar as it is known.
Wow.
Oh, my goodness. The wheels have come off. She's swinging wildly for the fences. There's no way this is getting through.
What a turn of events here at this HPT final table. coming to you from the Daytona Beach Racing and Card Club.
Daniel for sure calling here, if not
maybe
raising
here.
all in. Yeah, it's there's a case to be said for that.
He's holding ace-jack. He's heads up, suited in diamonds.
Yeah, he knows this is good, especially you couple it with the fact of what just transpired just moments ago in the previous hand.
The 23-year-old is taking his time with this decision.
1.2 million.
Yep.
1.2 million.
That's a 4-bet, ladies and gentlemen. And this time Hindi gets the message.
All right, so a significant amount of Hindy's chips have been transferred in the last two hands.
Yeah, you got it. You got to, I feel for her. I've been in this spot myself, you just make one misstep and all of a sudden, like I said, it's like you're driving a boat without a paddle.
Well, it's almost like she just spotted her opponent, the chance to get back into this thing. Now, I'm not going to ask the coach. I'm going to use my own coaching abilities here. Not that I have much.
That's
and just
scary.
say, here's what I'm going to say, Hindi. Get back into this game, okay? Lift your head up. Get back into this game. Play your cards. It was two hands. That's in the past. Let's move forward.
Now, there is something I like about what you just said there. James, you said pick your head up. Look at Daniel's focus is up and out. Hindi seems to be down and in. Daniel is all open. You can see he's there. Hindi kind of covered up. So I like that she's aggressive, though. It's selective aggression that's important, not just to swing wildly. Like, you see these fighters, they go in and they're swinging wildly and they're not hitting much. Same thing in poker. When you're overly aggressive, it tends to backfire and you end up doing yourself in and defeating yourself. So she's got to time her aggression a little bit better.
And now
another
re-raised.
4-bet pot. Yeah.
Well, at least this time they both have essentially the same hand, just different suits. But
yeah, but the betting is not the same, James. All in.
And now
here.
all in. And maybe she can take it down now.
Really?
Okay.
Wow, look at this.
All
Hindi.
right.
I take back everything I said. Way to go.
And she shows her hand, and now Daniel's thinking, I had a hand that kind of looked like that too. Well, listen, the gloves are coming off, and we will play more heads-up poker right after this quick commercial break. Here on the HPT, we travel all over the country, but I will say this is one of my favorite spots, the Daytona Beach Racing and Card Club. Down to 2 players remaining, and you saw the chip counts there. Hindi back to a commanding lead, about 10-2 in the chips.
And she definitely has taken the advice of keeping the pressure on this young man who's down to just now 12 big blinds. She's going to continue the pressure, raising with King 10.
The raise is up to $325,000, and Hindi has led this final table from the beginning and gave back some chips before the last commercial break, but now really just back on cruise control, trying to finish out her opponent and be our newest HPT champion. The flop is all diamonds, 8-6 tray.
Yeah, again here. Now, Daniel, an open-ended straight. Hindi, no diamond, just 2 overcards. To the turn we go, and there's one of them.
Yeah, 4 diamonds on the board. Neither player, as you can see, with a diamond in their hand, but Hindi does pair her 10.
Now, Daniel not having anything, really, running without the ball here with this bet. Hindi going to defend with just a pair, no diamond. I don't mind this on one street, but when you call off multiple streets on 4-card straights or 4-card flushes with just a pair, trying to hero call, it never really tends to work out too well.
All right, river card, 4 of hearts. So Daniel makes his straight.
I don't know what has happened in this hand. I have no idea. Now, is he bluffing or is he value betting?
I mean, we're seeing the cards and we don't know what's going on.
That's exactly right.
So now it's $350,000.
All right, so my guess is it's a blocking bet to keep his opponent from betting bigger and being bluffed off this hand. So maybe it's a very shrewd bet when it's all said and done.
Hindi folds, Daniel wins this pot. And we're glad you're with us this week here on the HPT. First place money, $91,557. Second place, $56,527. Action on Hindi, pocket tens. She'll be first to act. And those are chips for raising.
Yeah, she always seems to have a hand, this girl. And managing them well for the most part, navigating to the chip lead. Dominant chip lead, raises it now with pocket tens, as you said, James. Daniel defending with the jack-7 of clubs.
All right, well, let's go to the flop. And it comes out 8-6-4. It is a rainbow. Daniel is going to check over to Hindi.
Daniel's got another straight draw. This and a backdoor flush draw, but this time he's going to have to pay for it as Hindi's going to leverage her position and her hand, protecting her equity.
$225,000 is the bet. Action now over to Daniel.
Tends to make bets on the weaker side. She's probably read Daniel Negreanu's small ball book, but you can see it comes back to bite her here as Daniel straightens it out on the turn, hitting his gut shot.
And Daniel is going to check, and this could spell trouble here for Hindi, but she's going to slow down as we now go to the river card.
Yeah, smart check by Hindi on the turn here to manage pot control.
$450,000 now is the bet by Daniel.
I expect Hindi to pay off, and she does.
She's going to make the call. She's going to flip over those faded spade pocket tens and see that Daniel is the winner of that pot, 2.25.
Yeah, and this is the danger of the weak bet is, you get more value in some streets that hands wouldn't normally call you, but you also give up some equity when they suck out on you.
This week on the HPT, 414 total entries, a prize pool of almost $402,000. Over $4.5 million has been awarded here in Daytona over the years. And once again, special thanks to the poker room manager, our good friend, Mr. Chicago himself, Dominic Nero, his 21st HPT event. Dom, if you're listening, man, thanks so much for having us. Always a pleasure to come down here and get a little bit of a suntan.
It really is. And play some poker to boot. These two players playing for a difference of just over $30,000 on the line. So we take this flop, Daniel flopping top pair, Hindi just king high. Let's see how much her defense goes. Is she going to float this flop and call and then try and wrestle it away later? I think this is...
$700,000 is the raise.
Really?
So raising up to $700,000.
Really? Going ahead and taking a stab at a as we call it, a naked air bluff. Just no pair, no draw, just putting your opponent to the test, but Daniel's going to pass that test, calling with top pair.
All right, to the turn we go. It's the 9 of diamonds.
Hindi's first act.
Going to continue her story, I assume, but I don't think it's going to read too well with Daniel. He's just got too much with top pair. She fires a second barrel, James. The 2-barrel bluff.
It's a bet of 800,000 chips, and Daniel is going nowhere with his top pair.
Yeah, he doesn't like his kicker, but his top pair just too good to throw away that equity. To the river we go, and let's see if Hindi fires a triple barrel bluff. That's a great bluff card.
The ace of spades hits the river.
She's going to need to make it $3 million or something, I think, for this to get through.
Wow, she's going to slow down at the end.
Yeah, it's okay. It's okay, really. I mean, you've been called, twice. It's really hard to dig deep and fire a third bullet.
Both players check, and Daniel is going to win this hand. So, the action continues here from the Daytona Beach Racing and Card Club. We're going to take a quick commercial break, but stick around because we'll be right back. Welcome back to the HPT. Now, if you've been watching this program, this chip count you haven't seen before with the names transposed here. Daniel now has got the chip lead over Hindi.
Yeah, he's flipped the script, as we like to say, and you can see He's transformed the chip stacks from the other side of the table onto his side, and he is going to keep the pressure on now and raises with the queen 6 to 400,000.
Action over to Hindi. And Hindy's going to make the call. 200,000.
Yeah. It looks like she's a little dejected right now. And it's funny how the cards kind of feel that way as well to her, because she had the best hand pre, and now she gets out flopped as Daniel's flop top pair.
But let's remember, Hindi kind of had this look to start the final table as well. Kind of hid behind her cap a little bit, kept her head down.
Down and in. Yep.
And look at this. She's going to bet 500,000 now.
Like I say, I think this is a little bit like swinging for the fences. It's blind aggression. And sometimes players, you know, that thing that they fear, like they're being bluffed or being overly aggressed, what ends up happening is it takes on themselves, and they take on the persona that they themselves fear.
Okay, Daniel's going to make the call here with the top pair. We go to the turn card now, and it's the 4 of clubs.
Now, this is a great bluff card. I mean, if Hindi can pull the trigger here and perhaps move all in or make a big bet, and she does. Look at this.
All-in bet by Hindi. Daniel has asked for a count.
You got to admire the guts of Hindi here.
Yeah, you really do. You really do.
Now, it's interesting, though. Look at her body language. Even though she's representing a straight, it's almost as if her body is giving away that she's really weak here.
2.725.
I like that Daniel's taking his time. But man, this would be a hero call. I mean, I'm not sure how you can call this. Your opponent could have 2 pair, a set, a straight.
Yeah, 1, 2.
A lot of cash on the line. 91.5 for first, 56.5 for second.
2.725.
Can't imagine him calling off 2.7 million here. It's actually about 13 bigs when you get down to it, which is why it's helpful to think of these bets in terms of big blinds rather than pure numbers. You know, like 2.7 million sounds like a lot. 13 bigs, not so much. And
He's going to make the call, ladies and gentlemen. And Hindi shakes her head.
Hindi shows King of Diamonds.
Daniel is just 1 card away from being a 23-year-old Heartland Poker Tour champion.
I got a feel for Hindi. She's really dug deep, tried to make something out of nothing here. You know, it's just the cake has fallen.
All right, well, Hindi needs to catch either a king or a 9 or a deuce or a 7.
Or it's over.
Or it's over. Let's go to that river card. And it's the 3 of diamonds. It's all over. Your newest HPT champion is Daniel Silva, but give credit where credit is due. Second place money, $56,527. That goes to Hindi.
Well, there you have it. Daniel Silva coming all the way back and wrestling this championship away from Hindi, who seemed to have it all in control, but the wheels came off at the end. But I got to tell you, my heart goes out to her. She played with a lot of passion tonight, and I love it to see women out here playing and vying for these championships. Well done.
All right, well, now it's time to hear from Hindi, our second place finisher. She's joined with our tournament director, Jeremy Smith.
You know, you played great throughout the day. Is there anything you felt you could have done differently?
I mean, I'm sure I can't really, I'd have to mull over that later, but always, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. You're still walking away with $56,000 in cash. Any plans for the money?
Not necessarily.
More tournaments, maybe, other stuff?
Yeah, some of it definitely.
Nice.
Well, thanks, guys. Congratulations once again to Hindi, but the night belongs to the 23-year-old pro, Daniel Silva.
Yeah, and he's got over 91,000 reasons to make it his night. He's our newest HPT champion. He's going home with the title, the bragging rights, and of course, that mountain of money. And he's joined with our tournament director, Mr. Jeremy Smith.
You started 6th in chips. Was there one point today or yesterday that you felt you were going to win this tournament?
You always like to feel like you're going to win it, you know. Definitely, like middle of the pack, it's not a big deal. There's not there is a bit of like ICM pressure on you, but I didn't really feel like I had too much. Like I was pretty tight most of the time, just waiting for the other stacks to bust, and then just get whatever my first good spot with kings versus ace queen. Just wait for good hands. You got to run good to win tournaments.
Yeah.
You can't just be all skill.
Absolutely. You played great throughout the day. You're walking away with $91,000 in cash. Any plans for the money?
Pay bills.
Pay some bills. Anything else?
I've been traveling a lot lately, but I don't think I'm going to go anywhere anytime soon again. But definitely at some point I'm going to travel.
Thanks, guys, and congratulations to our newest HPT champion, Daniel Silva.
And that's all the time we have on this week's show here on the HPT, but I want to thank Dominic Nero and everybody here at the Daytona Beach Racing and Card Club. To date, we've given out over $4.5 million right here in this property. And special thanks, of course, to the players for making this prize pool huge every time we visit. Now, if you're watching this program and you think, hey, I have what it takes to play right here on the national stage, why not give it a shot? Log on to hptpoker.com, and who knows, maybe you'll be playing for the life-changing cash. For Ken and James, I'm James Larson, and we'll see you next time on the HPT.